And our next concept is all about latitudes. Dear boys, we shall have a discussion on this particular concept, latitudes. Now, just now I told the latitudes and the longitudes are in imaginary lines. They're drawn on the globe from east to west and north to south. And when these two intersect, and that intersecting place, that we call it as a grid. Here, when we go with the statement of latitudes, very simple. You all have learnt in your previous class or in your previous level. Latitudes are in imaginary lines that drawn on a globe from east to west. Isn't it? It's a drawn on the globe from east to west. You can take like this. Latitudes are an imaginary lines drawn on the globe from east to west or west to east. This is what we call it as latitudes. How many latitudes are there on the globe? There are 90 latitudes on the globe. 90 latitudes on the globe, that is 90 to the north and 90 to the south. So totally we come across 180 latitudes on the globe. There are 180 latitudes on the globe. We shall see that. There are 180 latitudes on the globe. 90 latitudes in the northern hemisphere. And another 90 in the southern hemisphere. Totally 180, but there are 181 latitudes on the globe, including the equator. I'll come again. There are 90 latitudes on the northern hemisphere and 90 latitudes on the southern hemisphere, including a central meridian or a central line, which can also be called it as a great equator, which can also be call it as a great circle, and this great circle we call it as a equator. I'll write the diagram on the board so that you can able to follow it in a very systematic way. If you take this as a globe, dear students, yes, this I will mark with 0 degree equator, the help of this is, call it as 0 degree equator. Including this, there are 181 latitudes on the globe. See here, This we call it as North Pole, and this we call it as South Pole. Like that, here we have to the north we have 90, to the south we have 90, as I told you, including 0 degree equator, there are 181 latitudes on the globe. There are 181 latitudes on the globe. Dear boys, observe this carefully. All these latitudinal lines that we term as degrees. Here one example, 0 degree equator. Like that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like up to it will go 90. At the north we have 90 degree. And to the south we have 90 degree. North 90 degree, south 90 degree, 0 degree, totally 181 latitudes. 181 latitudes. Boys, there are some very important latitudes on the globe. Some of the latitudes are very important. What are those or which are those? Let us we have a discussion. Here, 0 degree equator. It is one of the most important latitudes on the globe. And this can also be called it as a great circle. 0 degree equator can also be called it as great circle. I'll write here because of less space. Or which are the other important latitudes? 0 degree equator as 1, and we have yes. Coming to this, observe this diagram carefully. 0 degree equator, this we call it as 23.5 degree north, because above 0 degree equator it is northern hemisphere, below 0 degree equator we call it as a southern hemisphere. So therefore, I indicate with this number 23.5 degree with this letter N. N indicates north. 23.5 degree north, and this we call it as Tropic of Cancer. Because of less space, I will use here the space. See here, 23.5 degree north, we call it as Tropic of Cancer. We call it as Tropic of Cancer. See, I will write TOC here. Tropic of Cancer. Coming to the below, 23.5 degree south, I will indicate with yes. This dot, what I am putting above it, it is called as degrees. 23.5 degree south. This 23.5 degree south, we call it as Tropic of Capricorn. Tropic of Capricorn. This is, and once again I will go with TOC, but the last C is differs. There it is Cancer, here it is Tropic of Capricorn. Coming to the above this 23.5 degree north, it is 66.5 degree north. This we call it as Arctic Circle. This I'll call it as Arctic Circle, and here this 66.5 degree south. We call it as Antarctic Circle. It is Antarctic Circle. So these are the very important latitudes on the globe. 0 degree equator, 23.5 degree north, 66.5 degree north, 23.5 degree south, and 66.5 degree south. These are the important latitudes on the globe, and here 90 degree north pole and 90 degree south pole also one of the most important latitudes. There, all these lines, what I am saying, all these lines that drawn from east to west, it is equal to the circumference of the earth. It is equal to the circumference of the earth. On other lines of the latitudes are shorter in length. See here, it is equal length, and if as you go towards the polar region from the equatorial region, the circle that gets reduced. When you go to the north pole, that is 90 degree, it is just a dot. It is just a dot at the north pole, and even same at the south pole. As you go from the equatorial towards the polar region, the diameter of the circumference of that lines that keeps on decreasing. When you go to the north pole, it is just a dot. Is it clear to you? So these are the important points to keep in mind, dear students. And you know, from one latitude to another latitude, here we have almost 23.5 degree latitudes we have. But if you take 0 to 1 degree latitude, from one latitude to another latitude, there is a distance. Say for example, here it is 0 degree. If possible, I will show with one more example. See here, when you say this is a 0 degree, then just above that we call this as a 1 degree. Hope is it clear to you? It is 1 degree. From one latitude to another latitude, from one latitude to another latitude, there is almost 110.4 kilometer. The distance from one latitude to another latitude, from 0 to 1 or 1 to 2, 2 to 3, if you go like that, from 1 to 2, there is 110.4 kilometers distance from one latitude to another. So like that, if you see that 0 to 90 degree north and to 0 to 90 degree south, you just calculate among yourself 110.4 into 90 to the north, 110.4 into 90 to the south. You will see that 0 degree equator to the north pole distance, 0 degree equator to the south pole distance. So these are the points to keep in mind, dear boys. And with all this, I'll end up today with latitudes, and in my next class I will come with another important topic, continue with the same chapter, that is longitude. We shall have a discussion on longitudes in our next class. Until that, we'll take a break. Thank you.